All right, good morning, everyone. Good to see everyone here this morning, and welcome to our council meeting this lovely sunny morning. And I hope no one had any trouble on the roads this morning. I hear some spots it's a little dicey, but hopefully we'll be fine here. So appreciate all of the guests coming here, the ratepayers, and we do have a few people who'd like to speak. But first of all, agenda. So are there any additions to the agenda?
Thanks, through the chair. We did want to add to the agenda, the County of Barrhead's having an appreciation dinner, and we wanted to add that. And then I think Deputy Reeve Johnson wants to add something.
Okay, where are you doing, putting
Oh, that would be under County Manager.
the?
and
Okay,
that
county
would be-
manager. Okay, so
that
that's
would be-
number 3?
Yeah,
So
B3.
Barrhead appreciation.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So I have
Dale?
one as well.
Yeah.
I'd like to rescind that motion 64-2026 from the previous meeting with respect to gravel haul.
Just, you want to rescind the motion?
Correct.
We want to put that under infrastructure to discuss it
Infrastructure,
there.
yes, please.
Yeah, 9.3.
9.3.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other changes to the agenda or additions? If not, I would entertain a motion to accept the agenda as amended. Jill, any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. All right. Next is then the public input session. So we have three people coming. There's Garth, Bernie, and who else was? Andy. I know your name, Andy. It just was slipping my mind. All right, so you can come up together if it's both the same thing. If it's separate, we'll listen to you separately. But I'll give each of you 3 minutes, okay?
He needs 4.5, I need 1.5.
Okay, well, thank you again. I really do appreciate people who come and state their cases and their opinions, and I'm really thankful that people take us up on that, and council is always wanting and willing to listen to anyone who has something to say. So who's first? Garth?
I guess I'll go first. I gotta hit this? No, oh, okay. Thank you for letting us speak to you this morning. My name is Garth Ward. I'm the chair of the Darwell Lagoon Commission. I'm speaking in support of the agenda item for the Darwell Lagoon Commission, Phase B, Part 2, that County Council will be considering for approval later today. Council support for this project is necessary to ensure the combined operation of the Darwell Lagoon beyond the summer of 2026, which is coming soon. If the Darwell Lagoon is forced to close due to capacity or regulatory limitations, approximately 1,200 residents that rely on this facility for wastewater disposal would be directly impacted. In addition to residents, several local vacuum truck companies and haulers depend on this lagoon to service homes and businesses in the surrounding area. This will increase volumes on our roadways, more stress on other lagoons in the Lac St. Anne County. Without this facility, residents will face significantly higher hauling distances and costs, and service providers would experience operational disruptions. Approving this project will protect a critical piece of municipal infrastructure and ensure the continuity of wastewater services for the community. Maintaining access to the lagoon helps support public health, environmental protection, and reliable service for residents who do not have access to centralized sewer systems. By acting now, council can prevent a service interruption, provide certainty to residents and industry, and ensure the community continues to meet its wastewater management responsibilities. The approval for the grant for the work that's coming up in this phase is already in place. The only remaining item is the commitment of the 10% funding to ensure the project moves ahead. As chair of the Darwell Lagoon Commission, I look forward to my fellow board members that are on the council to support this initiative, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Any questions through to Mr. Ward? No? Thank you very much for your presentation. Bernie.
Thank you. My name is Bernie Poulet. I'm the mayor of the summer village of Silver Sands and chair of LILSA, the Lake Isle and Lac St. Anne Water Stewardship Society. Protecting our lakes requires many different actions. We'd encourage council to support the regional sewage system, the tank inspections, elimination of sewage, of septic fields on lakefront properties is an incredible first step. So I ask you for support to help the society that we have set up to protect Lake Isle and Lac St. Anne. These fresh waters have to be improved for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Very short and sweet and to the point. I love it. Any questions through to Bernie? Okay, thank you very much, two of you. It's certainly very important, our protection of our water. All right, Andy.
Morning, councilors. I'm going to talk about safety today. Range Road 62, Township Road 564. That's in your division there, Councilor Ed there. Trees are falling down on the road. Lots of trees. Now, when a vehicle comes across there, if it falls on a vehicle, and somebody gets injured, what happens? That's my question. Done.
Okay, thank you. Any questions through to Andy? I have a question, Andy, just stay here a minute yet. So are these trees that are on county property or on private property?
On county road, like
They're in the ditch.
Yeah, well, there's lots of trees there.
No, but my question is, are they on the county side or are they on the?
On county side.
Okay, all right, thank you. Dale?
That was my question.
Good.
I got a question for you. Has this been recently since the last windstorm, or is this a constant thing?
To put this on. I talked to George Turk when he was councillor. I talked to Steve Hoyda. I talked to Lovich, and nothing has been done. The grader man, he even talked to Public Works. Nothing's been done.
Is this a lot of deadfall, or is it fresh?
There's lots of deadfall.
So it's all deadfall.
I cleared my side.
Yeah.
It's on the north side.
Ed, are you familiar with this road? And it's bad or what?
I haven't been down there in a while, but I better should, I guess. Yeah.
Careful with your truck.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you
You bet.
for that, Andy. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Andy. We'll look into it, I'm sure.
All right. Again, thank you. There's no one online that wanted to speak? All right. Again, thank you to the three of you for your presentations. Much appreciated. All right, now we'll head on to item 5.1, Governance and Priorities Meeting, February the 5th, or the adoption of the minutes. You've all had a chance to go through them. Is there any errors or omissions to those minutes? If not, would someone be willing to move their adoption? Ed? Discussion? All in favor? Carried. 5.2, the February 26th County Council meeting minutes. You've all had a chance to look at them. I looked at them. I wasn't at the meeting, so you need to correct me if there's mistakes. Someone want to, Mike moves their adoption. All in favor? That's carried. February 27th, budget meeting minutes, February 27th, right? So any errors or omissions on those minutes? No? Does someone move the adoption? Dale? All in favor? That's carried. All right, one of the things I forgot to mention in our agenda, the 11:30 appointment has been canceled. Apparently there's a baby coming, so that's a good reason to cancel. So that one, 6.1, you can take off of the agenda.
I believe she's attending to reschedule for the
Yes.
26th.
Yeah, that's what I understand. So that'll come up in the future. All right, so next we go down to number 9, infrastructure. So Brian, 9.1 Darwell Lagoon Commission.
Good morning, Mr. Reeve and Council. My name is Brian Hartman. I'm the GM of Infrastructure. Today, administration is seeking approval from Council of Lac St. Anne County to approve the funding for the Darwell Lagoon Commission Phase B Part 2. In February of 2026, Lac St. Anne County Council received a detailed summary of the overall long-term plan for Lac St. Anne County and the wastewater solution for the next 10 years. So just to summarize, Lac St. Anne County operates 8 lagoons. 6 are owned by Lac St. Anne County, and 2 are operated by commissions, the North 43 Lagoon Commission and the Darwell Lagoon Commission. So today our discussion will just focus on the Darwell Lagoon. It was designed and started working in 1985 as an evaporative lagoon. In 2002, it was expanded in size, and in 2008, a new aerobic storage pond was constructed. Being an evaporative lagoon, it now needs a place for it to actually pump its effluent. So it's currently operating over capacity, and the issue is we need someplace safe to discharge the effluent. Alberta Environment and Parks has indicated the Sturgeon River Basin is not going to be able to be used as part of the original plan. So council support is necessary to ensure continued operation beyond summer of 2026. Closure would increase volumes on the roadway, and costs for service providers would also increase. So administration looked at some alternatives as well, which we should have, and we looked at building a new storage cell, and the cost for that is $5 million, and that doesn't include any opportunity for any kind of grants. Another option is taking the effluent and trucking it to other lagoons. That becomes very expensive, but more importantly, we have the effluent back on the roads again and causing damage to our infrastructure. So the long-term sustainability of that is not recommended. We could look at relocation of the lagoon, but again, that requires land and is very expensive as well too. Closing the lagoon, the July estimates for 2026 will be around 2.7 million liters of untreated effluent that would have to be rerouted to other lagoons in Lac St. Anne County. So at this point, we're looking at a long-term solution. We're looking at pumping the effluent to the Pembina watershed. So Alberta Environment has already been contacted, already given an approval for that, and we're looking for funding for the 10% solution of our grant that's currently in place. So the engineering design is substantially complete, and today we're looking for a motion from council to approve the 10% to match the grant and allow us access to the 90% funding. We are available as administration for any questions you may have at this time.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Questions? Bo?
Yes, do we have a copy of that environmental approval?
I don't have it with me now. We could certainly bring that forward and send it to council.
Okay, Ed?
For the engineering, the 45,000, did that include anything to the North 43? I know we talked about possibly connecting North 43 Lagoon into that transmission line to go north.
So currently, the North 43 Lagoon land is going to be used as a lift station to get it north. It is not being tied in right now. However, your regional idea is a great approach. So once we empty, notice how the purple line goes by No Outlet Lake, so I'll turn to the back. Right where I was pointing is No Outlet Lake, which North 43 already has a place to dump its effluent. At this time, it's going very close, in fact, on the property of the North 43, because after we've relieved the pressure on the Darwell Lagoon in, say, 5 years, perhaps the outlet for North 43 is marginalized, we can tie into that and keep sending it north to the Pembina watershed, which allows us almost the ability to go beyond 10 to 20 years, which is kind of the regional approach. So at this time, we're not connecting, but we can change in 5 years.
But it'll be an option to do that then.
Correct, because
Okay.
the lift station is right on the property of the North 43 Lagoon Commission. They've been gracious enough to grant us the access to their property.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Dale, and then Mike?
So then this proposal actually ties into a lot of future hookups as well.
Correct, and there was discussions as well too in terms of opening up some kind of commercial lands to the east. If we get this in place, that would allow us as a group, when we do our regional studying in the future, we could allow for some grant funding to connect from the east and open up some other lands as well too, which was a priority of council as well at some of the other discussions.
So my further comment that would be up towards the end of that Phase B, we're close to Lac La Nun, and there are several heavy populated areas on that west side of the lake that could be a potential possibility as well.
So through the chair, that's Phase A and Phase D, which already has some engineering completed as well. It includes the north side of Lac La Nun, which includes Barrhead County. So that's where you've been informed, I guess, before you had an awareness level where we would have to work with the county of Barrhead as well. And they would be willing to invest some money in this system of Phase A to relieve the pressure on Lac La Nun, which one of the presenters talked about Isle Lake being protected as well too. Lac La Nun has those same kind of issues with wastewater.
He kind of asked the same question, I guess, but on this purple line, is it possible to, do tie-ins anywhere on the line, or do we have to run it back to a lift station?
So at this time, it's going to be a transmission line to empty the Darwell Lagoon. Once it drops and we're at a safe level of operation, in 5 years, anything is actually possible. We could allow raw influent to come in and then tie it into the the Northeast Lagoon to be treated. So you're exactly correct. We're running this through the Northeast Lagoon, so it'll be almost treated twice. But if in 5 years we say along this line that people want to tie in and it's a regional approach, absolutely we can tie in. And if it's fully treated effluent and then we add some, we'll have to put it through the Northeast Lagoon to treat it.
You would probably run it into the black cell at Northeast Lagoon, irregardless where it comes from.
Through the chair, absolutely correct. 100%.
And is that 5 years a hard timeline to tie in other people, or is that just a rough?
That is just a completely rough guess at this point. I mean, if we get the approval, get it installed in 2026 and get the pressure off, it could be as early as 2.5 years. Right, it's just a matter of a funding model, of a cost to connect, and an overall plan that council will obviously be involved in taking care of approving.
Bo?
Yeah, I got a couple comments. I got no problem with a regional sewer wastewater system at all. What I do have a problem with is not planning it out properly. And one of the concerns I do have is this line going to be capable of becoming a regional wastewater system? Or will it have to be enlarged or changed?
Through the chair, I have the actual engineer who designed it, so if you'd allow me, I could bring her to the front and she can answer that question. Is that okay? So this is Bria with Stantec Consulting, and so she's been in charge of the project.
Hi. Yes, to speak to that. So obviously, when we have a regional system, it has to be appropriately sized. So you can't oversize something to the point where like I'm going to capture the entire area. But the beauty of this system is because we are connecting lagoons and not just straight effluent everywhere, we will have a fair amount of storage in each of the lagoons. So for example, Darwell has been operating for 30 years and it just is becoming full. So if we actually relieve the pressure off Darwell, get a fair bit of it emptied before we're able to connect in other places, it'll actually give us a lot of flexibility of like Darwell only needs to pump for say 3 weeks a year, and then North 43 pumps for 3 weeks a year. So that really gives a lot of flexibility in the system of everyone else connecting in.
Okay, so the answer, I guess, is no, it's not designed to be a sewer system. It's designed to be a transmission line between lagoons to handle the capacity right now. Future capacity I'm talking about is industrial areas, residential areas, lakes, and recreational zones around Alberta Beach, commercial areas around Alberta Beach. We have this line in place, and the question is this line capable, the size of this line, to handle that?
Yeah, so a lot of these places are already fairly considered within each of the lagoons. So the capture area of a lagoon would include kind of some of those growth areas and that kind of stuff. So that's where a lot of the storage is built into it. So yes, you are able to service the whole area. Obviously, there would have to be a plan in place about which comes on at which time, and there would have to be an overall operation strategy of how it works when other things come on. Obviously, based on the funding, I can only go so far and have enough justification based on populations currently and growth rates and that kind of stuff to make sure that we stay within those parameters. But yes, we do have like a fair bit of capacity built in, those lagoons being able to transfer either there or into the system. Like there is a fair bit of capacity in the system.
Thank you. I think you answered my question.
So the growth rates were a 25-year plateau for population increase for the design.
Thank you.
For a 25-year population horizon.
Okay. Dale?
Yeah, so I have two questions. Actually, not one comment for sure. It appears to be a great step for future planning, is what I see. So with respect to the addition of lines that come on, and I understand that when we make application to the government, we can't say we want a 4-lane highway and they'll approve it even though our traffic doesn't warrant a 2-lane. So I understand that principle totally. And you know, yes, 50 years from now, if it needs to be changed, it'll have to be changed, but we can't predict that so much. But I believe that by putting this transmission line in, we open up the door for more possibility for growth within the county. And I look at that as very positive. The second thing, my question would be to administration. Was there any money, any restricted funds from the previous year towards this?
Yeah, this is just coming for basically full approval now, so no, we will need, that's part of this motion for a little bit of the engineering for the $45,000, that's our part. So it'll be a brand new thing coming through, so.
Okay, so part of the funds were already budgeted in the previous year and we're just waiting? Okay.
No.
No?
No.
They're not? Okay, okay.
All that was budgeted was the engineering.
No,
Or it
the
wasn't
the
budgeted
project was just approved in 2026, like the grant funding was just approved in, or sorry, in 2025. So this is coming forth to you for the full approval. There was some
Including the
engineering.
engineering.
Yeah, there was a bit of
Okay.
engineering done, which we stopped,
Okay,
and then that's a part of this, and then
Alright.
we need approval for that for the 2025 year, and then a council determination on whether they want to move forward, so.
okay, thank you. So
Thank you.
basically, it's at, what is being asked for is the $1.6 million, right?
So option one is through the chair, is just two motions. One to pay for 45,000, which is included in the grant funding.
Oh, right.
We want a separate motion for that. And then a second part of that motion would be to approve, to allow staff to go out and look at a debenture for a 25-year debenture.
Okay.
So it's 1.6 million, less the 45,000 of the engineering that you also approve.
Okay, all right.
Is this
Barry?
it for the engineering costs then, or are we gonna keep tacking on engineering?
Through the chair, so the installation of the actual pipe needs some supervision from a professional engineer, so there'll be some more engineering dollars as the project goes on. There'll be nothing though to approve, it's included in the project cost covered by the grant.
And what are those engineering costs gonna ramp up to?
Well, roughly 10 to 15% of any capital project are engineering costs.
We're usually closer to 10 though.
She's close to 10%
We're
is
usually
what.
closer to 10. I try not to go over 10.
Okay, other questions?
Would this project be completed this summer if we approved this today?
So that's based on some approvals that we still need to receive. It takes me about 2 weeks per mile. So like we will be definitely past that timeline. And I also haven't completed the design for the lift station, which shouldn't take very long. But obviously, depending on those approvals, we need to have those in place first before we tender the project. So probably not, but I'm hoping not too soon after. There are some areas that do need to be crossed under frozen or dry conditions. So if we have a really dry summer, then we'll be able to cross it. If it's not, then we'll have to wait for frozen conditions to be able to install that.
Okay, back to Garth's point then, what's gonna happen if we don't get this done this summer? We're gonna have to start trucking or close the Darwell Lagoon?
Well, I think administratively we'll revisit with Alberta Environment to bring them on a actual field visit. The approval will obviously help if we're already working towards that, and perhaps Alberta Environment will allow us to go to right to capacity. So we're 1 foot over the freeboard right now. Perhaps they'll keep letting us encroach if we know that there's impending solution in the winter of 2026. So we have ways to talk with Alberta Environment to prevent the closure in terms of 2 or 3 month flex time, I'm quite sure.
That closure also depends on how dry of a summer it is, right? So if we have a really dry summer and we have a ton of evaporation and we stay around that level, then they might be able to drag it out a little further. So that, I don't think that's a hard close date. It's more of a, this is where we're headed if nothing changes kind of thing. So there are some factors that also change that close.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
What is the possibility of doing the branches off of this line now, like for the industrial areas that we have plans for to be able to service in the future?
Through the chair, I mean, the risk is only the closure of the Darwell Lagoon. So I would suggest that putting in the main line to relieve that pressure would be the best way to go, but then work with council immediately following to look at the branch lines that you're contemplating adding, and then apply for some actual grant funding as well.
Could I add to that? Sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Also, based on the Alberta Environment approvals that we're receiving, are based on the flows coming from the Darwell Lagoon. So if there's flows coming from elsewhere, we will have to apply for that. So if those are connected right now, that application would have to be reapplied for at that point. Definitely, connection points can be left easily along the line. It was on the first phase as well of like potential future connection points. So that's something that can be looked at too. If during installation, it's very easy to put a T and a valve to connect in as well.
So we're going to require different engineering to do what we need to do.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, if not, do we have a motion? Dale?
I'll make a motion, we approve option 1, that county council approve the 2025 engineering fees for Darwell Lagoon Commission Transmission Line Phase B, the amount of $45,023.07, with funding from the wastewater tax fund. In addition, approve the county's share of the 2026 project for the Darwell Lagoon Transmission Line Part B, Northeast Lagoon expansion in the amount of $1,645,516, with that funding to come from long-term debt using a 25-year term. County council acknowledges that the long-term debt requires a mandatory advertising.
Okay, thank you for that motion. Any discussion on the motion? Carla, did you have?
Yeah, can I just provide a comment on this, just in regards to the debt? So what will happen with the debt, we will bring a borrowing bylaw in at the next council meeting. It will have first reading. We'll advertise in the papers for 2 consecutive weeks. And then that time, there's a period of time for it to be petitioned. Once we pass that, then we can bring back that borrowing bylaw for second and third reading.
Okay, does that timeline affect the project, or are we okay? I'm just wondering if we could do the first reading today to do the advertising. No? Not ready, okay. Fair
Through
enough.
the chair, we just would have thought it was presumptuous that this was going to get approved, so we didn't have the bylaw ready.
No problem, that's okay. Any further discussion? Bo?
I think that the engineering that's being done on this particular Phase B, Part 2, is not adequate for our purposes for actual sewer wastewater line to service our areas in the future. We're going to be required to do more engineering, possibly pipe replacement, and we're relying on the lagoons as a part of the system and not just the transmission lines. So at this point here, I think it needs a little bit more discussion, and I think it needs a little bit more planning.
Okay, thank you. Further discussion? Further discussion? That's just Dale's phone. Any further discussion? If not, I'll ask for the question. All those in favor of the motion that Dale presented? Opposed? That motion is carried. Do you want to be recorded?
I think I did already.
Do you want to be recorded as opposed?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. Indicate that Bo voted against the motion. All right, thank you very much. So moving on, we have 9.2, and that's Brian again.
Thank you, Mr. Reeve and Council. Lac St. Anne County had a very exciting project where we had our tower systems get a grant from the Red Cross, working with the fire chief as well, for $99,991. We have 7 tower locations. They didn't quite fit in the budget, so we reduced it down to 6. And during the installation, each site required some emergency contingency plan for code compliance for power. Obviously, we were installing new generators, and the Alberta Building Code allows us to have a transfer switch with emergency kill switch as well. So it was $2,500 per site. We're here just to have you do a formal motion because the budget is not approved. We have the money available from 2025 in the operating budget because we're replacing batteries and it was all part of the same project. But we just need to formalize through council and through finance, just to do a motion that allows us to take this from the 2025 operating and apply it to the grant. It doesn't cost the taxpayers anything at this time. It's part of the 2025 budget, and the other $100,000 was covered by a Red Cross grant.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Dale?
I'm not in favor, but we're having to buy the propane tanks?
Correct. So with these towers, they were largely not ready for emergency power. And with this Red Cross grant, we put in generators and fuel. And natural gas to each site was very expensive.
Yeah.
So we've gone through 2 tanks at each location. So yes, tanks and generators were part of the approved grant through the Red Cross. So we had to apply to them, detail what we were doing as a solution. They agreed and gave us the $100,000 grant.
Okay.
Okay,
And the
thank
reason
you.
I asked that question is that typically propane tanks are rented from the propane company.
Yeah, so in
As
this
well.
case, we purchased them.
You purchased them.
Correct.
Okay.
How big of tanks did you buy? Just curious.
7.
I don't know the volume. They're very large and very heavy. They needed a crane to be installed.
Gallon probably?
Correct.
Okay, any further questions?
You,
Mike?
you bought these propane tanks instead of batteries? Am I reading that right?
Well, no, just we had a budget for maintenance and operations of the tower. And that included replacement of batteries, which we did not proceed with in 2025 because this grant came available. So the point of telling you where it's coming from is just so that we're transparent in terms of that's where it came from. We didn't buy the batteries and we had this available operations money.
So will you require batteries in a future date then?
We have an ongoing every year maintenance budget for the towers to keep them operational. And so the batteries may be replaced at according just as a maintenance item as well. So
Okay, thank you. Dale?
So maybe, Ann, we can take a look at when we're looking at all the things that we're doing and whether we should be or shouldn't be or ways to save cash. We can look at the towers as well. Might be a possibility to convince somebody to rent some space from us, maybe.
yeah, so through the chair, we do rent tower space to TELUS, Bell, and a lot of service providers as well. And so we're revisiting that under Ann's direction as well to adjust those rates and actually get all the proper contracts in place. But yes, we're currently leasing that space. We now have 7 towers, which we can actually have resilient power, which is always the problem. If you dropped a tower and drop power, people didn't want to have their product on your tower. So this helps the fire chief in terms of also his radios. They run off of all these towers as well too. It helps for regional emergency preparedness and also helps for us to have some income from actually renting the space to service providers for internet.
Well, thank you, Brian, for that explanation, because I was under the impression that we weren't generating much from those towers, but I believe that I have a different version now. I thought it was just for our fire department.
Through the chair, no, we're actively, we have current contracts in place for all 7 towers.
Yeah, that was reported to us when the presentation was made to us. Yeah.
And backup power is basically essential if you want to rent that out to TELUS and stuff, right?
Through the chair, correct.
Okay, thank you, Bo.
Curious on how much revenue it generates?
So we can get that report. It's part of the 2026 budget item as well too. You can see it in those and it's coming back on March 20th as well. So we can discuss it at that meeting. You can look at the actual income. Towers has its own breakdown of income as well.
That was all presented to us when they presented the towers. I don't have the numbers in my head, but that was all presented.
And that's
Mike?
all automated, right? From grid power to the generator, it's automatic transfer switches and stuff? Or do you have to go to each site if we lose power?
No, correct. Too much pain. It shows up on the building maintenance email every night at 3 a.m. They fire up and they get a list of which ones are firing through and making sure they're operational. So it's automated, largely automated. Correct.
Thank you. Ann?
Thank you. Through the chair to Deputy Reeve Johnson. I think your question too is, yes, we're looking at how we bring in the revenue and also our leasing and leasing structure, because we don't just collect revenue from property tax. We also get it through leases, and we want to make sure all our leases are up to date. So that is part of the overall review.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, any further question? Oh, Carla?
Yeah, I just would like to say it's around $100,000, a little bit under $100,000 a year annually for tower rent.
Thank you. I had Mike off. All right. Further discussion? If not, is someone prepared to make a motion? Ed?
Yeah,
Your
motion
motion is-
motion one that we approve this 2025 tower operating budget to cover the additional cost of the propane tanks.
Okay, thank you very much. And that money comes from last year's operating budget. Right. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimously.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, next, oh no, that's planning. So that's, the gravel haul, was that you too, or? Brian, you're gonna grab that? So, why don't we do that one first, the gravel haul? I think we had it in 923. So that's gravel haul rescinding the motion, if you want to attack
So
that.
through the chair, there was a notice of motion in terms of an added item to review the 2026 gravel haul rates and the fuel surcharge. It was approved at 11% fuel surcharge starting in the summer of 2026. So I do believe that there's a motion required to rescind the motion from the February 26, 2026 council meeting. And then we'll provide the motion for you, and you can rescind that motion and then proceed as council's will.
Okay, thank you. So Dale?
I would make that motion to rescind that particular, I believe it's 64-2026.
All right, is that correct? I hope. Yeah, okay, that's correct. Any discussion on that? I'll just give a little background on it. Part of the reasoning here is with the extreme volatility in fuel prices right now, it seems a little unfair to keep the locked-in fuel surcharge when gravel haulers are paying a massive amount extra and not knowing where it's going to be going. So that's the thought behind removing this and looking at putting a new motion forward. All right, so any further discussion on it? If not, all those in favor of rescinding that motion? Rescinding the motion.
What are we replacing
Anyone
it with?
opposed? What's that?
What are we replacing it with?
Well, that's coming up next.
Next
Okay.
motion.
Yeah. So all in favor again of rescinding the motion? That's carried unanimously. All right, so now we have to discuss what we're going to do. Dale?
I'd like to make a motion that we look at the policy today, and that policy is with respect to the gravel haul rate, and that number is policy number 011.
Okay, so just so it's clear to me that we look at the policy, so you want to change that policy right now?
No, I want to discuss what we're going to do with the gravel haul with respect to that policy.
So through the chair, I think Councillor Gifford had some ideas in terms of item number 18. In the handout, you can flip to that fuel surcharge chart. And I think Councillor Gifford would like to add some extension to the bottom of that.
Yes, just looking at that, it only goes up to 14%. You guys previously, or the previous council went up to 15%. So I'd like to expand that chart within this policy up to 20% at the same formula you have, like 5 cents per each percent. And going up there, a reason for that or rationale behind it is like today's prices of fuel are already up $1.58, $1.65 locally. So we should be anywhere between that 17 and 18% instead of the 14 that we're at now, or 11 for the summer haul, right? So I would, recommend amend to extend that surcharge on the sheet up to the 20%. And then within the motion, I'd also recommend administration be able to change this price. If they check on it, say weekly, I don't know if that's too much of a burden, but with the volatility in the prices, the prices are changing like 6.5 cents last night. And then administration can set that surcharge on a weekly basis to the gravel haulers, right, up and down. And then there would be no need for this to come back to council ever. If it's summer, the fuel rates drop, the fuel rates would be according to this surcharge. instead of us guessing the 11% for the summer hall, we really don't know what the price is gonna be. Okay?
Through the,
Carla? Or-
Okay, Carla?
I myself as administration would not recommend that. It is would be a financial nightmare to do a weekly change. It would be best off to do a standard, and maybe if you wanted to look at the policy and fluctuate it, maybe have a winter and a summer rate or something, or doing a weekly rate would be a financial nightmare. I would want to mention that, so for sure.
Well, I think, possibly, and I understand the weekly may be a little bit too much, but if we did a monthly, in the volatile times we're in this year, we have to be fair to the haulers as well. And I know we set a summer haul rate, but we can't have our people losing tons of money either. So it needs to be fair. So would a monthly work for you?
It would be better, but could we look at possibly a quarterly rate? Because our system is definitely not, it's a lot of, and it's not, work is work, and I mean, we're all in and we would do it, but when it fluctuates like that, our system does not have capacity to handle fluctuating rates all the time, so there would be a lot of manual calculations and looking into it. However, and we do receive several gravel carts, so it would be a lot of additional work to maintain it. But if I said quarterly would be nice, maybe for council to look at, but I mean, weekly I would definitely not recommend, and if you wanted to look at monthly, I guess we could look at that for sure, but as administration, I would recommend if we want to look at this, maybe quarterly would maybe be the best.
Okay, Barry?
I could agree with you on quarterly, but what if there's a massive fluctuation? We have to have that ability to change on the fly to some degree. Because if the war stops tomorrow, fuel prices are going to drop.
Yep.
Right? So we have to be able to have that flexibility. It's got to go both ways, right? We can't just be a one-sided. If we approve 14%, it drops to 9%, we're going to agree to that for the next 3 months. That's not fair either. But it works the other way too. If the fuel goes up, we analyze every month, and everyone's fair. That's just my opinion. I think that's what would be a better recommendation.
Yeah, I like it. Ed?
But our gravel hauls, what, 6 weeks? Spring or winter gravel haul, what's that? 6 weeks and 6 weeks in the summer? Yep. Right. So does it have to be monthly? Just do it back to the hall, do it twice a year, but then we have to really assess, right?
Let's just go through we can't have 4 people talking at once, so right now Ed's talking. Yeah, okay, Bo?
I agree. I think it's too hard to do it on an ongoing basis. On a daily basis would be ridiculous. As far as quarterly, I can understand that, but I like the idea of doing it before the hauls and commit to that 6-week period for that rate.
Okay, Brian?
through the chair, Brad, do you have an opinion on the 6-week?
Yeah, through the chair, I'd say that's fairly accurate statement that you're looking at. And from my end, I think at my thoughts on it as far as a summer and a winter rate, I think that's doable, and that it's pretty fair, really. You're going to encompass pretty close. You might have to take into account myself when we propose it, potentially maybe look at trends, but of course what's happening now, trends don't really matter. So, yeah. But that's kind of what my thought is. I can kind of get behind what Councillor Knish is saying there, and Councillor Gifford for sure.
Okay. Ed?
What are we gonna do in situations like this one? This winter haul, we put it at 14%, so for fuel at $1.46 to $1.50, and now we're already up there $1.65. The truckers are taking quite a hit right now for it. That was my idea with the weekly or whatever, to help them along with the volatility.
And I'm sure this, or at least I hope this isn't a normal thing, but this is extremely unusual what we're going through right now. Bo?
I think we could put into the policy that if in extreme circumstances that gasoline rises more than 5 to 10 cents a liter, then it can be looked at that time. I don't think we have to have it wide open. I think we can, if that circumstance arises, then we'll deal with it.
Sounds reasonable. Dale?
So Ann, was my motion too vague?
Through the chair, I think to Councillor Kanish's point too, we need a little bit of flexibility for our administration too. We understand what council wants and we understand where you're coming from, but I think between Councillor Gifford and Councillor Kanish, they've kind of captured what we need. So can you repeat that, Councillor Kanish? How did you word that in the policy?
Just an extreme circumstance, and then we'd have an independent meeting on that topic at that time and make the adjustment if necessary. And it could be a number like, say, a 20% increase or a 10% increase in that rate. If it hits that number, then we review it at that time.
Okay.
But hopefully within 6 weeks, it won't be changing that often.
Through the chair, I think we could revisit what Councillor Gifford indicated in number 18. We've got a chart with a surcharge in there, and perhaps we just look at the timeline, I think is what everybody's kind of debating. So we can use that chart as a guideline, and it seems fair, and I think all of council agrees on that as well as administration. So perhaps we just discuss how often the out of line, as Councillor Kanish talked about, what's the timeline? Is it 2 weeks at the wrong price? Do we kick in the change? Do we revisit it? That's the only thing I think we need to all decide on.
Yeah, right now it reads as annual gravel haul rate, right? And the fuel surcharge. So we just have to, that sentence has to be changed.
Could we, through the chair, could we possibly change it to seasonal and that would capture the 6 weeks?
Well, possibly seasonal or extreme circumstances. Yeah, right?
Yeah, I think it could be worded as the haul rate will be set prior to the 6-week haul, and in extreme circumstances may need to be revisited during that duration of the 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So you could say, through the chair, 6-week duration. If there is a change that requires revisiting this policy, we bring it back to council. But within that, administration has the flexibility to adjust and establish those 2 6-week periods.
That's what I would understand, yeah, rather than coming to council for that. Right? Is that understood? Okay, so.
Read my motion back, please.
Oh, sorry, Brad.
Sorry, just a thought through the chair. Do we want to quantify extreme? I think Councillor Kanish had mentioned a 20% jump from our, maybe, our original price that we decided on. And then if there's a 20% jump in fuel prices, that's the extreme. But I think quantifying it is probably fair.
Barry?
Yeah, I do think that'd be a good idea. Put a variance in there or some sort of a marker to hit. And then we can adjust from there. Like if it goes up 3 cents, we're not gonna make a
No,
big panic, but if it goes up 10 or 15 cents a liter, we have to take a hard look at it and go, okay, we have to change it. Either way, if it goes down 15 or up 15, there has to be some number put in there.
So do we want to use a percentage number or just a price per liter number?
I would think a price per liter number. If it goes up or down, so 10 cents or
Say 10
15
cents?
cents, then we gotta look at it, right?
10 or 15? Carla?
Yes, I think we will also need some verbiage in there to say, I mean, as we all know, in the summertime, before the long weekend, fuel prices have a tendency to go up. So I think we need to say that if it's over
They don't
a
count,
certain
yeah.
period of time,
Yeah.
but, right, I mean, are we gonna be looking at this because of the fuel price goes up in one day? I mean, just we need a time period in there too.
Yeah, usually when they go up on a long weekend, the diesel doesn't, but the gas does. The gas fluctuates more than the diesel, I think.
So through
Yeah,
the
I'll do
chair,
that.
under item 18, we have a price per liter chart already. It goes up in 4 cent a liter increments. So I suggest something like 4 times 3, like, so 12 cents a liter differential or 16 cents a liter differential, and that way it's really easy to follow the chart. So pick a number there, council, and say 16 cents a liter will initiate a review. But keep it at a number that matches the exact price per liter that's in our current document, and that makes it easy for administration. And that way we can work with the haulers that are inquiring, and they don't need to phone you as a council.
Okay, that's,
So-
yeah, 12 cent makes sense, sure. We're in agreement? So in that motion, then, extreme would be qualified as 12 cent up or down?
Yes.
Because it'll go in both directions. Hopefully down more than up. Yeah. If they quit the bombing, it'll help.
And what do you want, like a week duration? Like it's got to stay there for a week before we revisit it? Just if it's just a long weekend, it's just, you know, it is what it is.
Well, I do think we're quantifying it as the 6-week haul. So I know this time we're right in the middle of it when this came, and then you know but it's got to be at least 2 weeks. I think that it, yeah. And I did mention to the gravel hauler that talked to me, said sometimes we need to when you sign up to a gravel haul, maybe you got to lock in your fuel at the same time. And or you run the risk of because it's like a contract. It isn't an actual contract, but it's like a contract. So I think a little bit of onus has to be on the gravel haulers as well. And I know the smaller gravel haulers don't have quite the ability, but I think you can lock some in at times. Okay. Ed?
I think we should maybe close up this motion. I'd like to bring another motion forward for the short haul.
All
So
right.
it's not too convoluted.
All right, so, Brad?
Sorry, through the chair, just something that kind of turned in here. I know we talked about the financial issues potentially with changing it. So if we have it set up as 2 weeks and a 12 cent, that still gives us the potential to have to change it 3 times within your 6-week period, which is probably not what Carla's looking for. Am I right in saying that?
Okay, so let's be reasonable. Do you actually think it's gonna drop 12 cents, up 12 cents every 2 weeks?
No, just
I mean,
just
if
putting
that's a
that there.
miracle and it happens, that's one of the things you fight through, but I think the all likelihood of that happening is very, very slim.
I would agree with that. Just putting all the possibilities out there. That's all.
Yeah.
We hope this is a one-off, really, and, but I think it is something real, so I appreciate council discussing it. All right, so let's find out what that motion is now, or do you want to clarify your motion, Dale?
Yeah, I'd like my motion clarified, yes.
Oh, you don't want to clarify?
Nope. Not now. I was gonna put the pressure on Cindy. What did I say?
Yeah. So why
So
don't
that
we
county
say,
council approve a summer haul rate at 0.950 load factor, 0.150 ton per kilometer, and a fuel surcharge according to chart number 18 in bylaw policy, my apologies, thank you very much. Policy number 04040-07 to change if there's a market fluctuation in fuel, diesel prices of greater than 12 cents per liter for every 3 weeks. 2 weeks, you pick the time.
probably
That's
three.
close, but
Do
I-
3.
I think we have something we want to talk about that you included there, something, the
Haul rate.
haul stuff. My motion is with respect to fuel.
That's what we're gonna finish this one up.
Yeah, just
Correct.
fuel,
Just
just
the
put fuel on this
But
one.
the previous motion included all those load factors, so we should just keep it included to keep it consistent, correct?
Well, I think Dale's motion was strictly on the fuel surcharge.
Absolutely correct.
So
But
I
the-
think
but-
that was to extend it to
20?
a higher rate, so
20%.
extend it up to a 20% surcharge.
And the categories
That,
accordingly.
Okay.
that column. And then, you know, what you said, every, you know, a 3-week, it can be adjusted on a 3-week basis if there's more than 12 cent a liter change.
Perfect.
All right? Trista?
Apologies, thank you. The previous motion was to rescind the motion from a few meetings ago, and so administratively, we need that first piece of the original motion included as well. Because you're, in essence, you're canceling that whole motion.
Within that, we have the load factor, the tons, and the fuel surcharge. So in this new one, you just approve all three with the new fuel
After we approve
Well,
every
in the same motion.
What I was thinking is, we're going to have a discussion on the haul rate. Let's just do the fuel charge, that changes that chart down there and that sentence above it. And then we can do the haul rate. And then I guess we can do a third motion which encompasses everything.
Through the chair, does that work for Councillor Gifford? Does that make sense with your motion?
All I'd like to do is add a short haul rate. We have our haul rate right now, and I'd like to add a short haul rate within the policy. So I don't know how to.
So I think, yes, I think we should proceed with having the three in there and then do another motion for Councillor Gifford, and he's reestablishing a short haul rate. So it's almost like an addendum.
Or an addendum to it. Okay, so we include everything just with the change of this fuel surcharge,
Correct.
and then afterwards we add the short haul.
Correct.
Does that work? Yeah? Okay.
Question on my motion.
Questions called. I did have one person going to speak
So
before.
my motion is to rescind, so let's get that off the table.
That's already been,
That one's
that's already been
carried.
voted on.
That one's carried.
It's gone.
When did we do that?
We rescinded that motion right off the bat. So that's done. But you made a motion
Yes.
that we're now discussing. All right, so Carla?
I'm just thinking on, of course, on the finance side, and I understand, I mean, the rates fluctuate quite a bit. Could we possibly set it just so it's nice and clean in the policy to say to check rates at the first of every month? Instead of doing the 3-week things, at the first of every month, check the rates and go from,
Because then their invoices would be monthly. I'm assuming the truck drivers invoice you monthly, so then you could match it to the month.
yeah, I'm just trying to think of a better flow, right? So if we're doing every 3 weeks, just to make sure that we're on top of that, I think it's gonna get a little confusing. So I think if we looked at it, the first of every month, this is,
The
do
rate.
the call, check the rates,
Yeah.
and set it like that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with
Yeah, I
that
don't
doing
have a
monthly.
problem
It
with
makes
that.
sense on your end, because if you're 3 weeks into the month and you got 1 week is at 15% and 3 weeks are at 12,
Yeah.
it's just a nightmare for, probably for the truck drivers or the haulers as well.
All right. Bo? Yeah. No, if that works for you, I think that works for us.
Okay, here's the new motion. That county council approve the 2026 gravel haul contractor rates as presented, 0.950 load factor, 0.15 ton per kilometer, and a fuel surcharge according to item 18 of policy 04-040-07 to be revisited for a 12% deviation on the first of every month.
Perfect.
And that
12%
extends
or
to
12
20%.
cents?
My apologies, 12 cents
12
per
cents,
liter
Yeah,
deviation
Yeah.
on the first of every calendar month.
yeah. And that it gets, that chart gets extended, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Well, that sounds good. Everyone clear on it? Oh, yeah. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you for bearing with us on this, but it is, it's weird times right now with stuff like that, and we want to get it right, and hopefully to the truckers out there that you'll understand that we do care about you. Okay, so now, Councillor Gifford, you had,
So the other discussions I've been having with some gravel haulers is the difference between the short haul and the long haul, the money factor for them. On a short haul, the example given was 18 kilometers, 28 and a half tons, and it was $100 and something is all they made for that run, and they can't do 2 runs in an hour. So they're making under the $200 an hour, the 212 government rate. So the request, I guess, is to build a short haul in here, have a 25-kilometer distance. If you're under that, the load factor we had raised to $1 even, and then your tons per kilometer you'd raise to 20 cents, which would compare to like Barhead on the other county haul rates. And that would be just for the short haul. That would give them a little extra money on the short haul for loading, unloading, all the small stuff that they have to do, and hopefully get them close to that or over that $200 an hour mark was the idea. So it'd be a little bit of an increase on the load factor to 1 tons per kilometer to 0.2 for everything under 25 kilometers.
okay. Barry?
This question to Brad. How far are most of our hauls?
Through the chair, that's a good question. I actually don't have that info in front of me, but just off the top of my head, I think logistically, financially, that's probably even more of a burden than the fuel surcharge. That becomes a lot of fuel ticket loads load cards going through, separating, because there's multiple in a day where the same truck might do a short haul and a long haul, depending on where we're at. Like that is a logistical issue from what I see.
Yeah,
Can I just make a suggestion? I wonder if we can defer that motion. We leave the motion on the books, that's fine, but that we give it back to administration to come back with a suggestion of what may work, or if it doesn't work at all, let us know that too. And
Yep, through the chair, thank you. And to the Reeve, I agree with that because this was something that was added to the agenda, so it'd be helpful for us if we got time to come back and, you know, be a little bit more prepared for council.
are you okay with that, Ted?
Yeah, I didn't make a motion. It was just
Oh, you didn't make a
information we could
motion.
take for
Okay.
information, right?
Okay, well then, we'll make a request to staff to come back with us to address if there should be a variation and in a short haul rate. Okay? Fine with everyone? All right. Good, thank you very much. All right, next we're to planning and development. Tanya, A1, 9A1. Or what? I don't know. Yeah. Item 9A1 on the agenda. Encroachment agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we have an encroachment agreement request. We get approximately one every 5 to 10 years. This is not a typical item we would receive. However, we do have a policy in place with respect to encroachment agreements. So this is an encroachment request between Donald and Marlene Cheddick for Lot 3A, Block 15, Plan 8622884 in Losey Glade, and within Lac St. Anne County, reserved lot number 7, Block 15, with the same plan number. So the term of the typical encroachment agreement is for a period of 89 years, or the effective life of the structure, whichever is shorter, subject to any amendments or renewals granted by Lac St. Anne County Council. The applicants, Donald and Marlene Chiddick, have made an application to enter into an encroachment agreement. The real property report shows the following encroachments. The landing and 11 steps are entirely within the county land. The wood pad and 5 steps leading to the house are entirely within the county land. And the wood pad leading to the dock is entirely within the county land. As encroachments are within the municipal lands, Policy 04-030-001 allows the owner to seek permission from the municipality for an encroachment to remain. Refer to the attached policy included in the agenda package. Give you a bit of history. Don Wilson Survey submitted an application for a letter of compliance for the landowners Donald and Marlene Cheddick. The letter of compliance noted the property was non-compliant, the landing and 11 steps, and in addition to 2 wood pads and a dock noted on the RPR are encroaching into the municipal reserve land, and no development permit was issued for the walkout deck that was 3.12 meters above grade. On September 2nd, the landowner contacted the development officer requesting the process to bring the property into compliance. Typically what they're doing is they're looking at selling the property to somebody else, and so they need a letter of compliance to be able to do that. The landowner was provided the development application for the walkout deck and a dock placement request form. However, those applications would not resolve the encroachment onto Reserve Lot 7. On February 3rd, the landowner contacted the development officer with an inquiry of how to obtain compliance for the encroachment onto the county lands. We provided the encroachment policy and the application, and the applicant then sent in an encroachment agreement on February 10th. So for additional information, the original cabin was actually built in 1998. No permits on file. We deem it, due to age of the property and the house, deemed legal non-conforming as the location does not meet the current rear yard setbacks as per Land Use Bylaw 22-2017. In addition, an addition, a sunroom, and attached garage were built in 2009 and issued with a variance, and the building permit was issued in 2010. The letter of non-compliance and a picture of the development is attached for reference. We have 2 options available to council. We typically have recommended approval for an encroachment agreement subject to the 89 years. Or the other second option would be to defer for further information. If we could go to the attachment, the real property report shows where the setbacks are. And I unfortunately do not know what page that is. Yes, right there. So you can see right there the edge of the property to the top of your screen, and then you can see the highlighted information where it shows that the structures were built onto county infrastructure.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions to Tanya? I just have one question. In the policy, it says we have the ability to charge with the encroachment. Is that the $500 fee that they've paid?
Correct. So what happens is there's a couple fees. The initial application fee is $500. If they did not have a real property report already drafted by an Alberta surveyor, we would make that a requirement, or we as the municipality would take it on and charge it back to them. And then there's the additional fee to register the encroachment agreement at land titles. So they've paid the $500.
Okay.
If council approves it, we sign the agreement, and then it gets registered at land titles against their lot and the county lot. So there'll be an additional charge of $70 because it's $35 per title at Alberta Land Titles.
Okay, and how about, do they pay extra taxes then for using county land? So is that part of the assessment for those 89 years? Or do they pay a fee to the county for renting that land and being able to? I couldn't find anything in those papers.
In those papers, that has never actually been discussed. That is a good question for assessment if we charge them. That part I do not know the answer off the top of my head. We do not charge an additional fee for the usage.
But in the policy, it says you can.
In the policy, it definitely does say that we can, and we could go back to the secondary policy, which is the license agreement policy, where we would charge per acre based on the actual encroachment. So it'd be a separate agreement.
So just a question to council, I guess. Or do you have any questions on that? I was wondering whether it should be in the assessment, or if there should be a rental, or there should be nothing. Okay, Barry? Or Mike first?
Yeah, you would think it'd be on the assessment because you're technically adding land to their property,
Yeah.
first off. And my only concern is if we approve this, or, because since they already built it, are more people just gonna build and then come for an encroachment permit? That's, probably the next step.
Okay, Barry?
In your one picture here, you have the red X on the trees. I assume that's the one lot that looks like they built a dock. Is that what they built, a dock down to the water's edge?
I think you're
Yeah,
right.
that's
Yeah,
the aerial.
Yeah. Well, it's still, yeah, it's the aerial photo of with the trees and everything on it.
Yes, so that's a separate application, is that we allow a dock placement application. So a dock can be attached to municipal land on a temporary basis. They apply for a dock placement permit for the structure to be there in the spring and removed in the fall.
Yeah,
It's
because
a
I see the
5-year.
property next door has a dock coming off of it too.
Correct,
So we're discussing the stairs and the deck that's
Yeah,
on
not the dock,
to get to their dock.
Yeah,
correct.
Okay.
okay. Dale?
Well, my question would be, it's very difficult because I accidentally built my home on county land.
Send him a bill.
So, I think what we have to do is be very careful here because somehow it happened in the first place, which probably needs to be addressed, number one. But number two, when we decide on this, we should be compensated. It should be part of the assessment. It should, so that in the future, if somebody happens, which I'm hoping never happens again, but if it does, there's an avenue. That's what I'm concerned about.
Paul?
My concern here is this is going to open up a can of worms. Everybody along the shoreline that has county property in front of it or environmental easements will think that they can use that land at no cost and actually have it incorporated into their title for 89 years. Obviously, any land that the county owns and somebody wants should be a lease agreement on it. But the fact of the matter here is we're dealing with lakeshore property, and there's a lot of instances, many properties that do have municipal lands in front of them. West Cove's a good example. All the lakes have municipal land that is bordering the shorelines. The idea is the protection of the shoreline, but now by doing this, we've incorporated into their title and use.
Would only be an agreement, so it doesn't go into their title in that they would have permanent use. You could definitely reduce the life of the agreement that you so wish. I can check with assessment. We could table this for the time being, and I can check with assessment to see if we do assess them. The other two agreements that I know of were retaining walls that were adjacent to roadways, was to protect the slope in Sangudo was a particular case, is that it was a retaining wall because their land was higher than the county road and they wanted to ensure that their land didn't slough into the roadway. So that's why we did an encroachment agreement on a ditch. There is one other encroachment agreement on a reserve land. And the reason that that one was done in historically was the house with the encroachment predated the registration of the subdivision plan. So they were in process of creating their house before the subdivision plan was completely registered, and that goes back to the 1970s, I believe.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want a motion to table this so we get some more information? I make a
can do
motion to
that.
table this.
Okay,
Till we get more
motion to
information.
table the motion. And the reason is for getting more information. Okay? All in favor of the tabling? That's carried. All right. Okay, moving on. Administration, 11.1, appointment of subdivision Development Appeal Board members.
Good morning. Actually, Cindy compiled this report, but as she's busy, I'm going to go through it with you. This is pretty straightforward. This is appointment of outside members to the Subdivision Appeal Board, and we are recommending 3 members to be appointed: Becky Oxton, Christine Goodvin, and Lindsay Zargoski. So it's a straightforward appointment to the Subdivision Appeal Board, and if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Okay, any questions through to Anne on that appointment?
Just curious, is there any kind of criteria that these people need to have in order to sit on the board, or is it just general public?
No, they have to take a
anybody?
course, says they're
Oh,
certified.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Oh, they have to be certified in a course?
There was a good explanation. I can comment on a little bit. I sat on that board for a number of years, and there is a lot of training that goes into it, and you apply for it, and then if you get approved, then you take the training, and it's pretty comprehensive training. I had some additional training prior because I sat as a commissioner on the Alberta Energy Regulator. So I guess that's why I was approved fairly quickly. But it is, the training is good, and I would, my hope is that we don't need much of them once we streamline our systems and we don't have as many appeals. But we do have to have them in place.
Yes, and I would agree, and it's a very quasi-judicial board, and there's a lot of rules and parameters around on it. One thing that we did in Southern Alberta previously, there was issues with council making decisions and subdivision appeal boards overturning those. So what we did is we did a regional subdivision appeal board so that people who lived in the area were not addressing issues in their area. They would be basically farmed out to another municipality. So that's something that could be considered.
Yeah, whereas here, we have got people, or had people, I don't know if we still do, from outside our county, but usually it was county residents that ruled on county issues.
So
Dale?
then my question would be, these 3 folks, are they spread out over the county, or they are spread through the county? All right, thank you.
They're all county residents? Okay. I think, like, from my experience of sitting on it, it doesn't make much of a difference whether they're from our county or from others. People are trained fairly well in making decisions that from the information that they get and not from other information.
Through the chair, I would agree with that. And also, you look at the land use planning bylaw and those documents to make your determination.
And the one thing is, if you have to go by the rules, because if you don't, it can be appealed to the courts, and you don't want that. Okay. A motion, please. At option 1, that we appoint those 3 individuals. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next is bylaws and policies.
Through the chair, this is a pretty straightforward housekeeping measure, the procedural bylaw. At the March 6th meeting, or I can't remember what date, council disbanded the governance and priority committee meetings, and the direction was to update the procedural bylaw and bring it back to council. So we've removed all the sections that relate to the G&P committees, and this is the updated bylaw before you.
All right, so you've all had a chance to look at it. Any questions on that bylaw? Dale?
So you've removed that from the policy that's presented to us?
Yes.
Okay, so then why are we still talking about the definition of it?
It should have been
Under
taken out. You might have not got an updated one.
Governance and Priorities Committee means a committee comprised of council.
Yes.
That's
That
still
should be
there.
updated. Yeah, that should have been pulled out.
Removed?
Yep.
Okay, and there is another place where it's talked about as well, so what I'm gonna suggest is that you go through the document, remove those definitions as well,
Okay.
and double check to make sure it's not in there.
Yes, I do believe that got corrected, but I will double check. Okay.
Thank you.
So you're saying you should be removed?
Correct.
Yeah,
Remove you,
yeah.
and there was one other.
One other one?
But I think if Ann goes through it, she'll be able to have somebody find that.
Does
So
it, just a question, does it matter if it's in there if we don't use it?
No, but if you don't have the G&P committee anymore, it should not, there
Shouldn't.
shouldn't be a definition in there.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the wish of council then? Should we wait till that gets changed?
Yep.
Barry?
That would be a great suggestion.
And then bring it back to the next council meeting. Okay, and any other questions to management on that, if you've gone through it?
Through the chair too, there is another little piece of the procedural bylaw that we'd like to clean up too. And I'll turn it over to Trista. It was about the question about the MPC minutes.
I'm just going, give me one moment to find it in the actual bylaw.
My thought is, there was some inconsistency in the way the bylaw read, and we were trying to determine about municipal planning commission minutes or records. Is that correct,
That's
Trista?
correct. So at the last MPC meeting, which falls under this bylaw as well, there was a motion that was made that was rescinded. In the procedural bylaw, there is a piece that allows for a rescindment, and there's a piece that does not. And so we could just clean up that so that it's consistent in the process that is actually done.
Okay. Just, if you make changes, can you highlight the ones that are changed from what we have then?
What we'll do is we'll do a red line copy.
Yeah.
And give that to you, and then have a
Okay.
clean copy on the back.
That'd be great, yeah. Because I was going through this and I couldn't see where any changes were made, so.
Red line ones, we'll try to do that for policies as well, so you can see exactly what the changes
Yeah,
are.
that helps a lot. Yeah.
Yep.
Because then a person can, if we've approved something and then we want to see where the changes are. Okay. Oh, sorry, Trista?
Sorry, through the chair, just for your information, the piece that I was looking at with the motion, the rescinding motion, is in section 8.
Section 8, just a minute. It's a
And so
long
in one
policy.
piece, it allows us to rescind with a motion, and another piece it does not. So that's the section that will be updated for the next presentation. And I do see a reference there to the GMP as well, so we'll fix that one.
Okay. All right, any further questions? All right, if not, then let me get back to the bottom. What were the options here? Is there one to defer it? Oh, man, it takes an hour to get through it. That's why it took me so long to read it last night. No, I'm past it already. So, sorry, Jill?
Yeah, I'll make a motion for option 2, that county council direct administration to make different and further amendments to the procedural bylaw.
All right, option 2. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried. All right, thank you. Next, intermunicipal collaboration framework agreements.
Thank you. This is brought forward just to get council on page with the 20 intermunicipal collaboration frameworks that we need to complete before 2027. They did change the timeline. It used to be 5 years and now it's 7 years. And they are not up until next year. But as we know through going through this process, having 20 and they're being all so different, we have rural to rural, we also have 2 towns and a village, and we have all the summer villages as well. So my recommendation is that we start these conversations as well. Next council meeting, March 26th, I will be bringing forward a committee review. I've noticed while I'm doing this and while I'm doing the committee review, earlier this morning when we did the conversation about the Darwell Lagoon, these conversations under the ICF are not just a way to tick off a box to talk about, we've done it, we've met the legislation. All of these conversations we're having with our neighbors, to your point about the Darwell Lagoon up there and going into the county of Barrhead, these are the kind of conversations that should be done under this, and that's why I'm trying to make sure we allow for enough time, because before we know it, we're gonna be through 26 and into 27. So my recommendation is, and I know that there has been some appointments, but the summer villages, my suggestion is that we leave them the way they are. Reeve Preichus and Councillor Stoney sit on Mayor Thorpe ICF agreement. Deputy Reeve Johnson and Councillor Kanish are listed as representatives for the Village of Alberta Beach. Councillor Dirksen and Voltner are representatives with the town of Onaway. But my other suggestion is the summer villages. I think that whoever the summer villages are contained in your division, but that would leave some members of council without ICF discussions, and I do believe they're very valuable for us to sit down and talk and to make sure that we're working collaboratively with our neighbors.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion on this? Okay, so are we okay with option 1 or option 2? Would someone make a motion? Barry?
I'll make option 1 motion, that we initiate the process for negotiations with our regional partners.
Excellent,
Direct
thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
Good.
It's carried unanimously. All right.
Just for council's awareness too, I will make sure that now that we've approved this, that all of you get the current agreements so that you can familiarize yourself with them, because there are so many.
Exactly.
Thank you.
That is helpful, yeah. And it's actually helpful for those that aren't even involved, that for the ones they are involved with.
I do think it's really important. Yesterday, Councillor Dirksen and I sat in on a meeting up in Sandy Beach, Sandy and Sunrise Summer Villages, talking about lakes and, so these conversations, what do we do with the lakes level, they should all be part of the greater ICF, so.
Okay.
And I do think it's important as well to show those adjoining municipalities that we're all in this together. We're not just up here and they're here. So I think that's important too.
Excellent, so be ready for a busy summer. Just continues on, doesn't it? All right, all in favor of that motion? Carried, or did I have it vote on it already? If not, we got it voted on twice. All right, council meeting dates.
Thank you, through the chair. And now that we've removed the G&P meetings, we wanted to bring this forward. We did talk to council about the changes in the budget process. I've included some optional budget dates in there, and this will help us get the budget passed before the end of the year. So you can see the dates there. We've also taken into consideration the various conferences, and you'll see that normally we did leave 2 meetings a month in the summer. Normally, we would go down to 1 in the summer. However, given that we're going to be quite busy and we don't have the G&P meetings, we did leave them in.
Okay, thank you. I mean, we can always change them when we get closer.
We can.
And sometimes we have to adjust to people's schedules too, so.
So, and my question would be with respect to, you said you put a couple budget dates in there. They're not really listed per se, that I see, or is that farther down?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
December 7th.
Sorry, I found it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we did put extra. My drop dead goal is December 17th, that we have the budget passed.
Excellent.
I think you just put these on the calendar and
Yeah,
go from there.
put them on.
Like, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing next week, let alone November, so.
If council approves this, they will be populated in your calendars.
Good. Okay. Any further discussion on that? Oh, and it's got the municipal planning dates as well, a whole bunch of them, so. The MPC, and only as needed. Oh, the budget meeting dates are further down as well. So there's a whole bunch of dates set there. It will, yeah, or red. Yeah, okay. And then it's got the conferences, or some of the conferences at least. All right. So, do we need a motion on that? No, I don't think so. We do need a motion? Okay, would someone make a motion to approve that, Jill? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. So we've got our schedule for the whole year now. All right, so next then, Barhead County.
Yes. I think 13.1, which is committee reports, is
Oh,
a
committee
repeat of the dates. Is that correct, Cindy? Go ahead. Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
So just for the public's sake, maybe Jürgen, if you could read out what is in those committee reports or what we've got. It's right at the bottom there.
Well, there's Community Futures Yellowhead East Board Meeting Minutes. There's Lac St. Anne Foundation Board Meeting Minutes. And there's Lac St. Anne Library Board Minutes.
Thank you. And we're just trying to make sure that these are available for the public, so the public has access to those minutes.
Okay. Are they on the agenda?
Yeah.
Like, can they access them?
Yes, there's a link in this
Yeah,
report.
That's what I thought. So anyone who would like to read those minutes, click on the link and those minutes should show up, and you're welcome to read them. All right. Bo, did you have?
No, it doesn't.
Okay. All right. Okay, then we'll go back to the additional to the county manager, the Barhead County invitation.
Thank you. Through the chair, we received an information on behalf of Reeve Eric Monk and council. The County of Barhead would like to invite Lac St. Anne County Council to attend their annual appreciation dinner on Saturday, April 11th, 2026. Dinner's being held at the Bablitz Exhibition Hall, Barhead Rodeo Grounds. And the doors open at 5:30 with dinner at 6, and the formal part of the program will start at 7. And they also put a section in here, as ICF partners, we would be pleased to have members of your municipality attend and would like to offer 2 complimentary tickets for council to attend the dinner.
So, yeah, whoever wants to attend, I'm certainly prepared. I put it on my calendar to attend.
Unfortunately, I'm away, so I can't.
You can't attend, okay? And you don't mind going? Anyone else want to go?
What's the cost of tickets? Just curious.
$35, yeah. And. Anyways, if anyone else wants to go, yeah, let Cindy know, and I would say if you do want to go, the county would cover though, you'd expense that $35 if you like. Okay? All right. So Jill and I will go, and if anyone else wants to go, then that's fine. And it is good to get to know the councillors in our neighboring regions, I think is always important, and find out what they're doing too. Okay? Anything further? That's the end of the agenda. If not, I will declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much.